Shop till you drop 100%. The first manga I have fully completed and published. Other than like the one shots I have done, this is the first one. And it took me an entire year and beyond to make this. And it also was very, very hard to do. So I'm just gonna walk you through the process of making Shop Till You Drop 100%, or called Stud 100 for short. And it's on Global Comics, with first chapter being free and the rest of the chapters being free for gold, and not the actual kind of gold, but the tokens there. And the PDFs are $0.99, I think, individually. So yeah, let's get started. So the story, I'm just gonna introduce you to Shop Till You Drop 100% briefly. It's about when two twins go to a mall for a special discount, and on this day, those two and few other people get trapped inside this mall. It's not enough to actually full on trap them where they can't move, but it just barricades them inside the mall. What would they do in this situation, and how would it spiral out of control in just one day? Read the story to find out. So, this is not inspired by any real events. It started out by a simple idea while I was watching YouTube, and I saw a video for contained thriller. And I thought, since usually contained thrillers are done in like a house or in some very, very small space and in different circumstances, I thought of how would it be to have a contained thriller in a mall. So, yeah, the story basically is somewhat of a thriller with like some amount of gore and some violence and minor bits of supernatural stuff. But primarily it's in the drama genre. And in that case, I did come up with this idea a year ago. I didn't really flush it out back then. And then later on, I started to write down the plot on on paper, since I prefer writing on paper compared to writing on like digitally. I roughly wrote down the beginning, the end, and then I wrote like each character's plot progression before writing the main plot, because for me personally, writing too much detail makes me not really get interested in the story. To be exact, makes me more tired to write the story. And my favorite part of the process is actually drawing. So I sort of do plan only the basic parts of the story before going to drawing immediately, and that is not exactly a good thing, because planning is what makes a story good. However, I do skip that, so I can't really talk much about it. But I did plan some amount, like for example, how the interior of the mall will look like, or how the characters will be designed, and then how will their relationships to each other impact the story, etc., etc., etc. But I didn't plan like each individual dialogue like how usually other YouTubers tell. Like they script the stuff and then they go to storyboarding and then they draw. But how it went for me was, I wrote the rough plans out. I took some amount of some inspiration photos and other stuff like that, drew out the map mainly and the character designs. In addition to that, I did actually take some post references from Clip Studio Paint when I had the free trial. I took screenshots of those before starting to actually draw the manga itself. Initially, I used a B4 paper, or like B4 size, with like the manga margins. And then later on, what I did was I separated it into single pages. And initially, since I actually wanted to publish the book physically, I did have to format it, but then Later on, I got impatient because I've been working on this for a year. Hence, everyone should remember the main tip that formatting is very, very important, and you should keep that in mind while making your comic. If you want it to be printed or if you just want a digital release, same goes for the fact that I somewhat handwritten some of the dialogue and the rest of it is typed out, and there can be a lot of in like mix-ups in the dialogue and stuff like that due to the aesthetics changing a little bit. And so to keep it consistent, formatting is also important. So keep that in mind. So then instead of actually drawing the storyboards separately and then going to draw the comic, I drew the storyboards as the rough draft, and then on top of it I drew the comic immediately. However, the issue I faced was the drawing was fine. It took me like 3 months in 2024. And then for almost an entire year, due to I wasn't able to exactly handle college examinations back to back. So I didn't really finish it in the time I wanted to finish this manga by December 2024, but now I finished it in December 2025 due to almost it taking a year to actually finish off the final touches, and also having to write down and write the dialogue correctly. And some parts of it, some pages I did remove from the final draft due to the fact that they didn't hold any relevance anymore. And also, I did cut down the dialogues significantly because in my initial drafts, the dialogues were too much. And I do remember the fact that I don't like reading comics with too much dialogue. A medium amount of dialogue is enough. So I reduced the amount of dialogues and left the drawings mostly the same. And then after finishing that out, I just published it on Global Comics. And yeah, that's the short version of all the events. The first, one of the main things I learned from this experience, other than formatting and having consistency in your dialogues and making it legible so that I'll be able to understand and write it, is the fact that I was pretty tired from drawing it back to back every single day, and maybe I should have spaced out the deadlines and how I did stuff. And also, I should have made the experience a little more interesting for me, because the part which I'm mainly dreading is also the marketing in and of itself, because you have to make so much content for it that unless it goes viral, you can't really say that, yeah, I sold something. But anyways, I don't really have much to say beyond this. Please check out my comic shop till you drop 100% on Global Comics. The first chapter is free and the rest are free with gold. Okay then, have a great last few one day before the next year, and happy 2026. Thank you for watching. Thank you for 122 subscribers, by the way. It's been a great year so far. Before we had 85 subscribers and now we have 122. I hope it increases and doesn't decrease after this video. But yeah, thank you for watching and bye.